It is finally upon us. The Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs has opened, and today we see a trailer for the new Chaos Dwarf DLC coming out April 13th. In this video here today, we're going to cover this trailer, go through it really quickly, and then talk about the blog post where it details each one of the 3 legendary lords, as well as the new legendary hero coming with the Chaos Dwarfs. If that's all you wanted to know, though, and you want to just watch this on your own time and don't want to get spoiled by any of it, anything like that, then go ahead and feel free to shut the video down. Like I said, the DLC comes out April 13th alongside Update 3.0. That's the most pertinent information in this video, aside from me going through how Astragoth Ironhand and a couple other things operate within the game. I don't want to spoil this if you want to kind of enjoy it on your own terms. But outside of that, though, you can pre-order the game on Steam, Epic Game Store, Windows Store, all that fun action. And I believe I will also be having a link to the Creative Assembly affiliate program. So if you want to help support the channel, feel free to use that link to pre-order, purchase your DLC, whatever it is. If you want to wait till it actually comes out the 13th, by all means, it'll still work then. Also, if you want to watch me stream Total War Warhammer 3, we do it every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can go ahead and check out my Twitch linked in the comments and the pin section. But let's just dive in here to the Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs trailer reveal. And I'm just going to go ahead and play this. I will let it roll through. I'll try not to talk through some of it. I might get excited and giddy because this is the second time I've ever viewed the thing, but we're going to watch it and it's a lot of fun. So let's just go ahead and press play. Again, I'll try to keep my talking to a minimum, but I'm excitable.
Forsaken, abandoned to the dark, what choice but to follow the flame?
Oh god! Oh, it's so sick. I already broke my promise.
The fire to tear down the old ways, burning away all fear, doubt,
Our first legendary lord.
and weakness.
Our shot of Mordor.
Nothing remains but power and ambition.
Oh, look at those trains. Look at those choo-choos of destruction.
Fire will always demand more fuel, more sacrifice, the fiercest heat to forge the hardest steel.
Oh man, look at those.
Destiny
The movie Dune.
rising from within.
Our second legendary lord. Our third legendary lord.
Fire is to see it burn first.
Kadai everywhere. Kadai all over me, daddy. Oh, fuck, man. That is so cool. My dog's freaking out thinking I'm talking about him. No, buddy. We're talking about Chaos Dwarfs. Oh, man. Look at that art. Music, too, is great. The music is on point. So let's kind of jump through some of this and have some fun here. I catch my breath. Ooh. I like how it has the same old like Creative Assembly like Total War start, right? There's some sort of black powder something going off in the opening seconds. Wait for it. Wait for it. And oof. Oh shit, a cannon went off. It must be a Total War trailer. So we got some cool things here, right? We get some. Man, I wish the Chaos. I think the only thing the Dwarfs have over the Chaos Dwarfs, and okay, a hot button topic here. I think that this DLC is gonna, and I want to talk about this shot right here, is gonna reveal a lot of things about the deficiency of the Dwarfs in Total War Warhammer. So I'm excited for this DLC. It's gonna color out the Darklands. It's gonna make it really fun. The Chaos Dwarfs are badass, but it's gonna make how unfun and uninspiring or uninspired the Dwarfs feel now with just so much competition in the Total War world. In tabletop, They were just fine with their current roster, but I think you now have to expand the Dwarf roster when you're dealing with so many things. Why play the Dwarfs over the Chaos Dwarfs when the Chaos Dwarfs have everything the Dwarfs have, plus Bull Centaurs, plus Chaff Infantry, plus fast attack stuff, plus a Doom engine destructive train of destruction. Like, there's so much stuff now that I think the Dwarfs need to get colored into their race to feel a little bit more alive. So we already see some action here. Right, we see some Bull Centaurs. Those aren't Infernal Guard. There's a specific name for them, but they look sick. A little bit of the Hobgoblin action, or at least just a Goblin. There's a Hobgoblin. Dude, look at, like, could you imagine being an orc, being the size of an orc, and a guy does this? Yeah, get to it! Like, dude, I will throw this box at you. Some shots, though, in here. God, that looks so cool. Then we get our first Legendary Lord, right? So we're going to get 3 Legendary Lords. Astragoth Ironhand, which we saw as he's kind of in the Dune scene here. Drazhoath the Ashen, and Zhatan the Black. So this is Zhatan the Black right now. Astragoth Ironhand is at the very end, and then in the middle is Drazhoath. I'm stupid. But we also get this. Look at that Hobgoblin Khanate looking action. Look at how sick this looks. Like, I love the look of the armor, right? You get that Khanate look that's supposed to kind of be very inspired by Mongolian / Japanese style armor. So I love that look right there. Look at these dwarfs. They know. Same character right there again. And we get this shot of like Minas Morgul, right? Like, I hope that Chaos Dwarfs have a corruption that is like industrial. Like, oh, Chaos Dwarf, or the corruption of Hashut. Is it? Oh, that looks. Oh, that's sick. So you have this forge here, and you have Chaos Warriors at this forge. Like, no, I want it to be a bigger axe. Scrubbing through here, some more action. We get the mortar on the train, so that's going to be sick to see.
More sacrifice. The fiercest.
I don't really know what things are heroes and lords. All the different types of trains in here. So here's the Dune shot I was talking about, right? This is straight out of the movie Dune. Maybe that's a hero right there. I mean, it kind of makes some sense here. We have probably the Infernal Guard. And this right here, this is Drazhoath the Ashen, Sorcerer Prophet of Hashut. That's like straight up like a picture from one of the arts from the Tamarkan. This is again another picture from the Tamarkan that's been like just reimagined. Now, this is a cool shot. So obviously we get a lot going on right here, right? You get Bull Centaurs, and it looks like 2 different variants if one's not a hero. Maybe there's an armored Bull Centaur and a standard edition Bull Centaur. The Infernal Guard props here in the very front. These dudes with the masks. Now, I unfortunately, I'm going into this pretty blind. Usually I do these videos and I've really like done a lot of my information about the Chaos Dwarfs, but it's just been so long and I've forgotten a little bit. So if you know what that is, go ahead and let it be known in the comment section below. You can see the, man, what are those things called? Not Lamasu. Oh God. But the Boltaris, there it is, Boltaris, that's it. Right in the background there. And now we get Astragoth Ironhand, which is basically Chaos Dwarf Space Marine. So the kind of lore for the Chaos Dwarfs, I do remember this, as they use more and more of their magic, they turn more and more to stone. And that's kind of what happened here with Astragoth. And he uses this mechanized exoskeleton to allow him to basically still have operation of the body parts of his that have kind of started to turn to stone. So more action here. There's not the Bull Centaur, the Taurus. There we go, Bull Taurus. We got another one of the trains. Oh, the Lamasu, baby! That's so sick. You see what I like? I really like that they stuck with the OG aesthetic of the Chaos Dwarfs. It's not some sort of updated look. It's slightly updated, but it still has that blocky, kind of almost caricature look that you got from the older army books, which is so fun. Trains going off here. More Kadai right here, which are really cool. Kadai Fireborn, Kadai something. but rad looking. Now this is a really sick shot too, because we get a really good look at things. We get the Taurus. We get the Lamassu. So it looks like, I don't know if both of these are the legendary lords, or if we're seeing generic heroes on mounts. So I'm assuming perhaps that your caster will be on a Lamassu and your whatever generic fighting lord would be on a Boltaurus. We can see the different types of stuff over here as far as perhaps the different attachments of the train, what that looks like. We see the Bull Centaurs on just kind of hooving it. We see a big, huge chaff infantry line, probably of like hobgoblins or orc slaves, something of that sort. Let me go back a little bit here. Looks like just, here's our, dude, look how sick those Infernal Guard look with just glowing helmets. I cannot wait to see how this all pops off. That is such a sick, it's like Jurassic Park meets, isn't that like, wasn't the last Transformers trailer, didn't it end like that with the T-Rex? It's either T-Rex from Transformers or T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I can't decide, but an absolute banger of a trailer here. So now let's go into the blog post to talk a little bit now about the DLC and some other stuff like the legendary hero Gorda's Backstabber. Now we got ourselves a blog post to go through. So I have the verbiage of the blog post, but not the actual blog post like I typically do. Unfortunately, a number of the Creative Assembly staff got COVID or got sick, and they were not able to get this 100% out to us prior. So I am reading off of what the blog should have. Some of this verbiage or some of this stuff might have changed, so just kind of a heads up there. I will try to get the link to this posted in the description and the pinned comment right when it goes live, so that you guys can actually see the updated version of it and you can kind of read along if you so wish. But we're just going to have the trailer go over and over and over and over a bunch of times. So pretty much now, if you're working or whatever, you don't need to see anything on the screen. You can just kind of listen to my voice. It's me pretty much just reading off the blog to you and talking about a couple things here and there. So and then at the very end, we'll talk about maybe some start locations and stuff like that. And that you can come back to the screen for. So let's take a look here at what we've got. So we can finally confirm that the Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs will be arriving in Total War Warhammer 3 as part of the game's update 3.0 on April 13th. You can pre-order Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs today on Steam, Epic Game Store, and the Windows Store. Who the fuck uses the Windows Store? And if you do so before release, you can grab 10% off the launch price. Now, again, myself and pretty much every other Creative Assembly or Total War content creator will have a link to their affiliate link where you should be able to pre-order it through there. Hopefully when the time that this blog goes live and this video goes live, I should have that link in the description and the pinned comment. But if you don't want to get it through me, you want to go support Indie Pride or General on Occasion or Turn or whoever, make sure you use that your respective favorite Total War content creators affiliate link to try and help support their channel or my channel, whichever one's best for you. So let's go into the legendary characters here, as we have all three of the legendary lords to talk about. That's right, I said three. Three ferocious and foul legendary lords are included: Astragoth Ironhand, High Priest of Hashut; Drazhoath the Ashen, Sorcerer Prophet of Hashut; and Zhatan the Black, Commander of the Tower of Zar. They are joined by the one and only legendary hobgoblin hero himself, Gorda's Backstabber. So these are our legendary lords. And it's upsetting in a little bit of a way to not see in a lot of a way to not see a fourth legendary lord alongside these. Releasing 3 legendary lords with an additional legendary hero is new for us and is the path we'll be following for future releases. Did not know that. You told us you wanted more legendary heroes, and we agree. These new heroes can be recruited and used by all the lords in any given pack, offering up a lot more playstyle flexibility than before. In the case of Gorda's, his appearance improves hobgoblins across the board, allowing more players to tap into his amazingly quick wolf cavalry. So I don't think any of us said we want more legendary heroes in place of a legendary lord, right? Because the legendary lord kind of delivers a lot of mechanics and playstyle difference. It gives us different starting locations and all these fun things. I think we wanted to see legendary heroes alongside our legendary lords. Like now I have all my high elf legendary lords. I want now some high elf legendary heroes to pepper into those lord characters. You have so many different options for legendary lords too for the Dawizar, and you have a ton of them that are kind of the same as Zhatan the Black. Zhatan the Black is a very generic character, but I think that every single faction needs a generic Legendary Lord character. It's why I think Erloth is a really important Wood Elf character that I think we need, because it's just okay, cool, it's a better version of the generic Lord, so you have a generic way to play the game from a very specific Legendary Lord standpoint. So it is upsetting to not see the Bull Centaur on this list, right? I can't even remember the name off the top of my head, or any of the other fun characters that you could really tap into with the Chaos Dwarfs. It is cool to see the presence of the Hobgoblins, and it'd be fun to maybe explore the Hobgoblin Khanate down the road, but the fact that this will be following for future releases, I think is a little bit of a hit in the jaw here. And I think that with the Chaos Dwarfs, you only have so much playable field, right? The Darklands is a very small place on the Immortal Empires map, and when you're taking a look at the Realm of Chaos map, it's not that much bigger. It is definitely a much larger portion on that map, but not by, it's not an entire Lustria. Maybe it is, who knows? But either way, I still think that 3 Legendary Lords, okay, I can understand that in the constraints of your location, but a 4th Legendary Lord could just as easily kind of played a role of a Chaos Dwarf that is on expedition somewhere else. So it is kind of a jarring thing. I did want to hit that up front before we dive into more of this, because I know that's going to be the biggest pain point in this DLC for a lot of people. But regardless, there still seems to be a lot of kick-ass stuff coming here for the Chaos Dwarf. So let's talk about Astragoth Ironhand here. So his big shtick is that he is going to be the caster, or one of the caster lords here, right? We've got 2 of them. Astragoth takes his place on the battlefield as an armored caster with a mixed spell lore of fire and hashut, able to cover plenty of ground at a respectable speed, and holds his own up against close combat, and his own up close against enemy combatants. So I expect him to probably have a pretty nice move characteristic, probably about 120 armor. Probably smaller on the melee defense portion of it. And I wonder what his melee attack is going to be like, because he will be an armored caster. I don't see him necessarily as an armored combatant in the sense that he's going to be dishing out tons of damage. But maybe I'm wrong here, and he might actually have a good profile. So I'm really curious to see how this works out, and I'm really curious to see how Hashut works out. I love that lore. We've done a whole video on the lore of Hashut and what its speculative traits might be in the game, so I'm really stoked to hear more about it. But on the campaign side of things, this High Priest has a few more tricks up his metal sleeves, excelling in the Tower of Zar by generating more Conclave influence than any other Dawi Zar. Now, we don't know what that really means yet, and we're going to get into the Tower of Zar in just a little bit here in this actual blog post. But Gorda's Backstabber is our next thing to talk about, and he is our legendary hero. Focusing on melee combat, this sneaky fella works his way behind enemy lines, either on foot or mounted atop a giant wolf for faster movement. That same giant wolf that we saw in the trailer, I don't know if that was Gorda's Backstabber, the one that I stopped and talked about, but that might just be the generic hero version of Gorda's, but I imagine to be very similar looking all around. Gameplay-wise, Gorda's Backstabber is a force to be reckoned with, adding some serious versatility to Hobgoblin armies. That's a cool thought right there, right? Hobgoblin armies. His presence in an army grants incredibly powerful buffs and stat bonuses, and he has some extremely handy skills. He can keep ammunition flowing with Shoot 'em, or enable Vanguard deployment for a Hobgoblins with Sneaky. And if stealth isn't your style, Get the Gits summons a band of Hobgoblin cutthroats to command. So I wonder if those are all single choice skill choices in his skill tree, or if they're part of his, like, okay, at level 6 you get these very specific legendary lord or hero skills that only he can tap into. So whether Gordas is nestled in among your army or breaking off from the pack to cover ground with a lesser generic lord of Darizar, he's an invaluable asset. So again, I think the legendary hero aspect here is a really badass one, because I can put him in any legendary lord's army. I do like that, but again, just like I said, I didn't want that in place of a lord. I think this would have been, I would love to see a DLC pack that just introduced like 5 or 6 legendary heroes to a bunch of different factions, and have it kind of be like this. Have them buff up specific styles of army or specific styles of approach, so I can take advantage of that. I really kind of lean into those types of armies, and I do like that. I think it is a cool character. Again, just didn't want to lose something to get it. Campaigns, or economy and labor. So the Chaos Dwarfs need laborers, and they can acquire them by besting their foes in battle or via the convoy mechanic, which we'll have more detail about in the 3rd part of this series in a couple of weeks, before setting them to work in mining outposts to harvest raw materials. Raw materials are crucial for the Chaos Dwarfs empire building and a necessity for constructing the more advanced buildings and structures. Beyond that, they can be converted into armaments that unlock the true strength of the Dwarf's fiery military. So here's the syntax for this. Acquire labor, harvest raw materials, construct nightmarish buildings, and forge hellish weapons. Bolster the Chaos Dwarfs. So it's kind of interesting. So it sounds like that convoy mechanic, or at least the battles, right? You get some sort of slave labor force very similar to the Dark Elves in some way, shape, or form. And that then results in you being able to harvest raw materials. And I don't know if those harvesting raw materials are like chosen, like, okay, I have a list of raw materials. I'm going to allocate X portion of labor to this one or that one, and it's going to equal this raw material output that I then use to construct these buildings and or weapons, in the same way as like the Tomb King's treasury thing or the Dwarf Rune Forge. So I wonder how that's all going to kind of play itself out. Plus, let's not forget the power of the treasury. Earned by winning battles, constructing outposts, utilizing factories, and selling armaments via convoys, the Chaos Dwarfs have many avenues with which to earn some serious coin. And it's up to you to ensure the gold keeps on flowing. So very, very curious to see how the treasury differs from this economy and labor portion in the convoy mechanic. It seems like we're going to get a lot of different mechanics. The convoy mechanic, the treasury mechanic, the raw material mechanic, which then allows me to construct buildings, and the Tower of Zar. So let's talk about that. So the Tower of Zar stands tall within the Chaos Dwarfing capital of Zarnagrand. It's a political battleground for the Dawi Zar and key to their success as an almighty faction of chaos. So it also presents an opportunity for some competition between the factions outside of warfare thanks to multiplayer compatibility, adding a cooperative edge to the campaign experience in the form of districts. So I'm curious to see that, if that is like, has a whole bunch of stuff that you can play around with in a co-op scenario. So I'd like to see how that kind of rears its ugly little dwarf head. Districts can benefit the entire culture of the Chaos Dwarfs, encouraging all to work together to enhance Zarnagrand for everyone's benefit. With the chance to experiment with a variety of playstyles and try your hand at some sneaky diplomacy with the potential for some serious backstabbing, the Tower of Zar is one of the most in-depth, unique, and versatile campaign mechanics in Warhammer. Total War Warhammer to date. So very, very, very interested to see what the Tower of Zar really does. This is kind of a bit of a throwaway paragraph because it just says that there's some districts and these things influence things. So I'm sure we'll get a whole blog post on that, just like we're going to get one on the convoys. So for battles, talks a little bit now about the Bull Centaurs, just giving you an idea that these are a synthesis, right, of a Bull Centaur, a monstrous addition to the Chaos Dwarf roster, rocking the upper torso of a Chaos Dwarf and the body of a ferocious bull. Does say that they're very powerful melee combatants and they have some big armor, but don't let their hulking size or preference for great weapons fool you. They're most definitely keen-witted. So I would assume that they have got probably somewhere in like the high 30s, low 40s of melee defense, a decent amount of melee attack, I would assume. They're using great weapons, so I expect some sort of AP damage profile coming from them. A decent amount of charge, right? I imagine these to be very similar to Centaurs we get from the Beastmen, but probably with some better armor, maybe a higher charge bonus, maybe causing terror, who knows, but definitely having great weapons and having an AP characteristic attached to them. Maybe an armored and unarmored characteristic too, like I was talking about. Perhaps that was even a hero version, so we'll see how that shakes out. Take to the skies. So now we talk about the Baal Taurus, not the Bull Taurus, because I'm a moron. So the Baal Taurus is a gigantic monster with, again, the body of a bull, but this time coupled with the membranous wings of a dragon. Ridden into battle or flying solo. So that kind of tells me right there, this is either a mount or a quote-unquote feral version, right? And I think the difference is that the Baal Taurus is a solo version. The Great Baal Taurus, as it says at the bottom of this paragraph, the Great Baal Taurus reserved for the most powerful Great Dwarfs will be and for those wanting to go bigger, probably available for those that wanting to go bigger. So I imagine that the Great Baal Taurus is a mount, as we've seen already that it is for one of these Chaos Dwarf Legendary Lords we've talked about. And I imagine the Baal Taurus is just your solo version. Then we get the Lamassu, which is thought to be a rare and interesting mutation of the Great Tari. It is not a being of rage, but instead a manifestation of sorcerous intelligence. Though not as powerful as its cousin in combat, the Lamassu is instead able to employ magic, launching fireballs at the enemy, or transporting allies on shadowy mounts in a blink of the eye. So alternatively, as they are blessed with an uncanny, insidious charisma that can befuddle enemies, they may simply choose to let death creep mysteriously through enemy ranks. So I think that this has a Mortis Engine effect. That's what that kind of sounds like to me. That causes damage over time when engaged in combat, I would assume. We saw that it has some sort of breath attack, fireball attack from the trailer. And this is transporting allies on shadowy mounts in a blink of the eye. So I wonder too if it has the ability to create stock for a range around it or something. Kind of like you get with like the Protoss, right? They have that one ship that can conceal everything under it. The Lamassu might have that ability too. Which would be pretty cool. Like, oh, okay, it's like 15 seconds and everything underneath is completely hidden. That allows you to move those things further up the battlefield. So very curious to see what the Lamassu is going to be like. And I definitely think we've already seen it as a mount. And I imagine it's going to be a mount for caster characters or caster heroes and lords versus the melee lords are probably going to be only ones that can take advantage of the Baal Taurus. Well, except for, what's his name? Not Astragoth, except for like Drazhoath, who I expect is going to be on that Great Baal Taurus. But that is the news here. That is the blog. That is everything. We have dived into all of it. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below how you're feeling about all this. Are you miffed about the 3 lords and 1 hero? Are you stoked as hell about Chaos Dwarfs finally popping through the lands of the Darklands? And before we close our video out, I'm going to jump really quickly into the campaign map to really talk about where these guys might start. So now that we know all this stuff about the Chaos Dwarfs, where will they start on the map? And the Darklands is the obvious answer here. So we're going to be looking at 3 set locations that I think will probably make the most sense for our starting characters for the Chaos Dwarfs. And I think it depends on how they're going to deal with Zarnagrund. Is it going to be the capital of the Chaos Dwarf Empire? Is it going to be some sort of NPC faction you interact with? How is it all going to kind of make itself be known? So the big locations here are, I'm going to use the cool mod Toggle Fog of War, and we have Zarnagrund. That's going to probably be the one where we would see Astragoth Ironhand. That's probably his starting location. It makes the most sense. It's like the capital. It is the seat of Chaos Dwarf power. Now, outside of that, we know that Astragoth was responsible for banning or exiling Drazhoath the Ashen. So he was exiled to the Black Fortress. So that's probably where we will see Drazhoath. And I think this is a pretty cool location because you have Darkhold right here, the Tower of Gorgoth right here. Both things play a pretty cool role in the Chaos Dwarf lore. And the Black Fortress puts him in a pretty rambunctious little area, right? You have right over here Goldtooth, you have over here Helman Gorst, you have Imric where I'm starting, you've got Crookback Mountain, so a lot of fun stuff all around that character. And then I think Zhatan the Black would start over here in Zorn Uzkul, mainly over in Uzalak, because I think that's probably going to be how his character will kind of take the leverage point. Now, Zhatan the Black worked under Gorth the Cruel, so I'm curious to see if we'll see that kind of play a role in his mechanics for his campaign. But I think those are our big starting locations that we could expect. And if you kind of look at it, yeah, sure, the Darklands is a pretty small location, but if it's here for the Black Fort, that's the Gates of Zar, the Black Fortress all the way down here, then Zarnagrund, and then Zorn Uzkul, each one kind of gets their own province, and they can kind of expand out of their provinces from there. And there's plenty of ways that they can do that: north, south, east, west. And I think this is a pretty fun set of locations for the Chaos Dwarfs. So that brings our video here to a close, guys. But as always, go ahead and let me know what you're feeling about this in the comment section below. Like I said earlier, are you jonesing on the DLC? Are you upset about the 3 legendary lords, 1 hero? All that stuff, let it be known below. And I will have my links to the what the hell is it called? The blog and to the affiliate site if you want to pre-order ahead of time. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.